My name is Dan McCormack, and this is my professional sales presentation on the Three Rivers Rowing Association. The project. The project we were stated with was we were assigned a nonprofit organization, which mine was Three Rivers Rowing Association. We were assigned to make a prospect list, find leads and information needed for a cold call, make the cold calls, come up with a pitch for those cold calls, and then do the pitch over the phone, handle the objections with our prospects that they have, close for a donation, and follow up with the prospect at the end of the phone call or donations being received. In the beginning of the project, I thought it was going to be difficult, but moving through the project, it got easier to do. Just learning and adapting to the cold calls and this entire sales process helped me a lot during this project. The sales process. There are many simple steps to a complex sales process. I feel like different products and services can have different processes, but for me, getting the donations for a nonprofit for Three Rivers Rowing Association kind of went by prospecting at first, preparing myself for cold calling the prospects, presentation and pitch, coming up with a very interesting and inclusive pitch to give to the prospects over the phone, handle the objections and concerns that may be involved during the cold call that the prospect may have. Finally closing the sale and following up. I feel like those go hand in hand. Once you close the sale, you always need to follow up, make sure everything went smoothly. Step one for what I did was prospecting. My first strategy, I went on to the Three Rivers Rowing Association social media pages to find people who were engaging with their content. My second strategy was contacting rowing coaches in the surrounding areas. I reached out to WVU's rowing team, Pitt's rowing team, and UPenn's rowing team to see if they would be interested in what I'm trying to do. My third strategy was find physical therapists that may have treated an athlete from Three Rivers Rowing, which I just went online and looked at the map, saw some of the physical therapists that were around the area, and contacted those as well. My fourth strategy was contact professors and directors that were in the sports field. So I went to my professor specifically, that was one of them, the director of sports management as well, and went down that route to see if they would be for a possible donation since they are surrounded sports their entire life. I thought it would be a good opportunity for them. I felt that I prospected the most people off people engaging with their social media. The book How to Win Friends and Influence People taught me different and effective ways to get people like on board. Finding those people, like the book really made me know how to talk to these people and find their pain points and find out what is the way to make them come for a donation for me. My preparation stage, there are many simple steps to preparation. My preparation was did a little research on the Three Rivers Rowing Association, getting to know what they do and what really they're meant for and like their mission statement, things like that. Know what you're trying to sell. We weren't trying to sell anything here. We were simply asking for donations. So I feel like this was kind of on the fly of like talking to the person at first and building that relationship, knowing how to actively listen and go throughout your pitch because it's going to change over the phone and will never stay the same. Come up with an effective pitch to say to the prospect. Study and practice your pitch before the call, where I would look into a mirror and go over my pitch to myself, making sure that it came out clean before I did the cold call, because that is crucial in a cold call to have your pitch ready and know how to present it in a professional way. And then be well prepared with information and notes needed for the call. I had a little notebook set aside with a couple little notes that I may run into if they had questions and things like that. I had the notebook there to help me retain that information and give them all the information they needed to know to make a possible donation. My presentation and pitch. Coming up with a presentation or pitch is always an effective way to deliver a good pitch. I feel like this is the best way to go about anything with a cold call in sales. How to Win Friends and Influence People helped me put together an effective sales pitch to give to the prospects. It also taught me different ways on how to use specific words in the pitch to sound more professional. Same thing. I feel like this book really gave me the good insight how to like influence people to get what I want and to win people over. I feel like just using those types of things in the book to talk to people and connect in different various ways really helped me get donations for the Three Rivers Rowing Association. I also included important information about the Three Rivers Rowing Association, things like who they are, what they do, and how they do it. Use keywords to grab the prospect's attention, keeping them engaged and interested in what I had to say. I mean, this is always a good thing. Keeping the prospect engaged in what you're having to say is also crucial to the process, and keeping them on the phone to keep talking to you and learn more about the association and what I'm trying to do. Building that relationship is always a key in sales as well. I feel like building that rapport and getting like them talking to you at first on a personal level is always a great way to start a pitch to a random person over the phone. And after that relationship was built, I then proceeded into my pitch, why it would be important to donate and how it would be important for them to donate to the Three Rivers Rowing Association, since it is a nonprofit for underprivileged kids that want to compete in competitive rowing. Next, we handled some objections and concerns. Many ways I used to handle objections and concerns are things like keeping the prospect on the phone, use active listening skills to break down their objection or concern, use what you learned about the prospect while building that report to turn it into something positive is always a great thing. So that active listening and using what you learned about them to build that rapport goes hand in hand. I feel like when you're listening to them and breaking down their objection and concern, you could turn it into something positive for that prospect based off that relationship you built prior to the like getting into your pitch. Never letting the door close on a prospect is always one big thing I've been enthusiastic about. It's like once you close that door, you'll never be able to reopen it. So even if they say no, you do want to keep that door open, maybe call them back in a couple of days to see if they've changed their mind. And the sales expedition, it gave me good insight on handling objections, making it important to completely understand and uncover the objection before trying to solve the problem. When I reading this book, made me handle objections in different ways and make like having that background knowledge of how to handle an objection really was a key pointer and turning point for me during this project and cold calls in general. And I only ran into two objections. One was I called the U.S. Rowing Foundation, and they said they cannot donate to competitors where there was no avoiding that. I mean, I took what he said, talked a little bit about it, asked for some references about if like he knew anyone or any company that they would want to donate to as well. So that was one positive that I turned into. And the prospect, and another thing I ran into, the prospect had a meeting to get to, and I asked him what was the best time for me to call him back. And he answered with next Monday at 1 p.m. So that's another thing, that never giving up and never closing that door and trying to keep the conversation flowing, moving into the next stages of the process. Closing the sale. When closing a sale, it is important to thank the prospects for listening to you, and we'll send over the information needed to close the sale. This goes hand in hand with following up. So basically, they would verbally commit to a donation, over the phone, which then would go and make sure they're getting the right information they need to know to donate as well. So this is either email, text, whatever it has to be to get them that information to go out through with the donation. I did actually meet with one client in person and gave them a pitch while showing them the Three Rivers Rowing flyer as well. The prospect was interested and asked for donation, leading them into donation from that prospect as well. I feel like going face to face with the person and giving them presentation live is one of the key terms I've learned that could help them be positive about making a donation and not thinking about it twice. I think this went really well for me. I gave the pitch in a professional manner and it worked well. Another prospect that calls was interesting when I was explaining it. Thought it was a great thing what we were doing. He really liked how this was all set up. So this led me to emailing him the information and thanking him for the donation as well. This was a little more smooth sailing since I kind of uncovered all the points that we were trying to do with the underprivileged youth athletics and different programs they had. He thought it was awesome that we were doing this. So he didn't even hesitate. So I sent him over the information right away and made that closed donation. Finally, I think it is key to be as transparent as possible when closing a sale, meaning like knowing what they're getting into, what they're donating, where they're donating it to, how this is helping me and Three Rivers Rowing as well. I feel like that back and forth conversation is very important to an ending the closing sales. Follow-ups are also so important. So prospects, don't forget what you talked about and keeping them as a prospect with that relationship as well. Following up is a key thing in sales. I mean, if you don't follow up, you're just not going to close the sale at all. It'll just never work that way. So being very communicative with your prospects and clients as well is a great way to keep them in the loop of things. Um, kind of ways I followed up was voicemails followed by an email. Um, Email saying that I left a message, call back at my number. Thank you emails for speaking with me and the donation and just reminders of what we talked about and donation links as well. I feel like these are all the best ways to follow up and keep that prospect in the loop of things that you're doing, eventually leading to hopefully a donation at the end. Um, Conclusions. This is what I've learned from this entire project. I learned that every prospect is different. You know, people are always changing. Each person is different in their own ways, and you just have to uncover that as you go. There's a different way to talk to each prospect as well. You know, you could talk to one prospect one way, and you could talk to a different prospect the same way, and they may not like the way you are speaking or going about it. So, you know, I think it's important to be adaptable and changeable to every cold call you're in. And like finding prospects can be difficult, but I feel like once you just hit the ground running, you know, everything flows and you get on track and you just keep pushing to find different people as well. Um, Also, the sales process is the same, but always changes in little ways. I mean, this meeting, like me right now, trying to get a donation is probably a different prospect process from if I was selling solutions and consulting different ways. I mean, they're very similar, but in different ways, they are, I think, different as well. I also think you have to be relentless when selling and never to give up. I mean, once you give up, there's no coming back. I feel like it's a snowball effect. Once you give up, you'll never get back up on your feet again. So having that competitive nature and that go out and get it mentality is very important in sales to never like give up on yourself as well. I also think that being clear and sounding excited to talk about what you're selling is important and it will help close sales. I feel like if you're very enthusiastic about what you were doing and what you were trying to sell, this will have people buy into the process as well, making business with you. I feel like if you're excited, they're going to be excited as well. I feel like another big one is being comfortable with being uncomfortable is going to make you succeed. I feel like if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, you'll never be comfortable in any aspect. And you just have to learn how to adapt and change and be comfortable in situations that you most likely not find yourself in a lot. This will just help you succeed and make your professional career so much more smooth sailing. And always be professional with words and emails, voicemail, text, and phone calls, and no matter who it is when you're trying to do business, it always has to be professional. One, it looks better for you. Two, I think this would just, if you're not professional, no one will take you serious. And it just will never work out for you if you're not professional when trying to be taking like professional calls and sales. And finally, we have my donations list. Joni Williamson donated $10. Brian is a chef at Mario's Fishbowl. He also donated $20. And Aaron Matlock also donated $20. Pretty much to close this. This project was awesome and it really gave me key terms to take out my professional sales career. I feel like I've learned a lot doing this. And it also got me good practice on the cold calling list and doing things in the sales process that I thought I would never do or have to do. Really got me a kickstart on my professional selling career.